Hi pen friends, this is Sarah
and Eve,
and today we're going to show you some different shaped ink bottles that we have in our collection. I'm going to show you them in different categories, and we're going to start out with annoying shaped ones, or somehow annoying in some way ink bottles. So the first one is this J. Herbine ink bottle.
it looks really good.
And it's really, really pretty. Do you want to guess what the problem with this bottle is, Eve?
It's just a straight cube.
Well, that's not quite a problem. The problem I find is that the opening for the pen is too small for most pens to get into. So a bigger opening would be better on this bottle.
Oh.
Alright, my next one is another J. Herbine bottle. And what do you think would be wrong with this one?
It's way too small.
Yeah, it's too short. So when you
that's what I was going to say.
So when you're trying to fill your nib, it needs to go down further into the ink in order to fill it, and it can't go down very far in this bottle. They did add a little pen rest here, but it's not something that I use. So here's a sailor bottle that has sort of the same problem with being too short.
Yeah, it's like how tall?
It's really hard to get a deep enough area of ink with this to put your nib down into.
and especially if you're just running out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you'll be like,
yeah,
and you might crush your pen.
The ink gets too low really quickly. Now this one is a pretty standard shape bottle. This is a Noodler's bottle, and it has a nice big opening and it's deep. So it's not really a problem with the bottle that I find with this. It's that when you buy it, the ink is filled all the way to the very top, so that you're likely...
So that if you put the pen in really deep, then it'll just overflow and it'll get all over your clothes.
And if you're having a hard time opening the top, then you shake it by accident a little, and the ink can easily go over the edges. So I think that Nathan Tardif fills them that way because he wants to give you the most ink for your money. But I would appreciate more if it was filled a little bit less so that it wouldn't spill as easily. So our next category of ink bottles is useful but a little bit plain. So in that category, I do like this label that's on the Birmingham Pen Company bottles, and it's a cute little bottle, but you know, it's pretty standard. It's probably the nicest of these ones here that I've got, but here's the KWZ bottle. Pretty standard, it's classy, you know, but it's just a kind of...
grapefruit.
Yeah, it's the ink color is called grapefruit. It doesn't smell like grapefruits. And then we've got...
Wait, your hand smells weird.
I put lotion on. Then we've got the Robert Oster bottles, and they're plastic. I think this might be the only plastic bottle that I've brought out. So it's a pretty cheap bottle. The top is feels kind of like a cheap plastic, but the ink makes up for it by being... I've always found the Robert Oster inks to be really good. And then we've got the Monteverde bottle. So these are pretty standard, but they work well. They have a good opening. They're deep enough to fill your pen. Alright, so now the next category...
Mom,
yes?
After this, can we test them, or...
Yes. So I want you to be thinking about which one of these you would like to test, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so the next category is pretty, but not necessarily... I mean, they all work well, but these are some of the prettier bottles. That's the Platinum. And then there's Diamine. So I like these different shaped bottles, and the ones with a little bit of detail in the glass are nice.
What about this one?
Okay, we haven't got... That's a different category. So we've got the Omos bottle. I think that's really pretty with all those facets.
This one doesn't have any ink in it.
Nice faceted pens as well, so I think facets are a good trademark of that company. Then we've got two that are pretty similar. The Delta bottle looks like a baby of the Pelican bottle. It's an interesting kind of
It looks so
vintage looking style. And also the Pelican has their logo at the top.
And can you just shout out to them that there's absolutely zero ink in this bottle?
I actually just bought this bottle empty, which is something you can do from a lot of companies. If you have some extra ink or you just want a different style bottle, you can buy empty bottles. Here's a Tibaldi one, and it's got an interesting concavity to the
Oh my gosh,
the
that
glass.
color of ink looks so pretty.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting, pretty bottle. And then we've got
that one is the one I want to test.
these three that have sort of a shape that's bulbous at the top and the bottom. And so there's a Mont Blanc and the Papier Plume and Diatramentis.
Just one question. Am I going to be choosing one out of each category, or
No, just
choosing
one.
plain one?
Just one of all of them, okay? So you think about that.
Oh,
So our last category are bottles that were designed thinking of the user and how the ink was going to be used. So
like weirdly shaped bottles?
yeah, they're shaped so that they're easier to fill your pen with. So this one is a Noodler's bottle that comes with an eyedropper in it. So if you're eyedrop filling your pen, you can just fill the eyedropper and put the ink right into your pen with the eyedropper. So that's.
But also, don't put it in your eye.
No, you don't want ink in your eye.
You don't.
So that's useful for eyedropper pens, but not so useful for ones that you're just filling the pen right out of the bottle with. So I actually, whenever I want to use ink from this, for most of my pens, I put it into a different bottle. So this is kind of useful, kind of not useful.
Yeah.
Then we've got the Iroshizuku bottles that have a little dip in the inside of the bottle where the ink, it's easier to fill your pen if you put it right into that spot because it's a little deeper there. And that's a pretty bottle also. It's got this weird little scarf thing on it, which some people like, but I think it's it gets in the way for me.
Can I?
Yeah, you can look at it. Just don't drop the bottle, please. Then the Rohren Klingner bottles. These are brown glass bottles. So that's useful because UV rays from the sun can degrade your ink. So that's thoughtful that they make this tinted glass to protect your ink. And we've got the Lamy bottles. So this also has a deeper area right here, and they include some blotter paper. So it's easier to fill your pen when you put it into the middle there. And we've got the Mont Blanc, what they call a shoe-shaped bottle. So when you're running out of ink, you can tip the ink to fill this area, and then it's easier to use your ink when you've only got a little bit by filling this area.
Oh yeah, it looks like a shoe. It's like.
And then Waterman has a bottle that also helps when you only have a little bit of ink, so that you can put it on your table at an angle like this and fill it, and it concentrates the ink to this area of the bottle. And so when you're using it full, you can just use it like that, but you can also tip
shoe,
it.
Mom.
And the last bottle I have to show you is the Ackerman bottle, one of the prettiest bottles I think that you can get. It's really, it's a gorgeous bottle.
Gosh.
And they also have a marble that sits inside this part, so that when you only have a little bit of ink, you tip the bottle and it fills up this area, and then you tip it back and the marble keeps this part filled so that it's easy to fill your pen from this area of the bottle. So these are pretty expensive, but it's really cool to have one of these in your collection. All right,
How much did they cost?
I did not look that up, but if anyone has a question about one of these bottles, you can put it in the comments and I'll get back to you. All right, so Eve, which bottle did you like the best, and which one would you like to use?
I think it's like a tie between this one and this one.
So I would guess that's purely on what color ink they have in them.
Yeah.
Okay. So We will keep those ones aside for Eve, and we're gonna push these aside because we have a little surprise now.
What?
One of our pen friends, Pickwick Turtle, sent us a package. Would you like to open this?
I love opening packages.
So Pickwick Turtle has a channel, and I will put a link to that probably in the comments section. And you should definitely check out her channel. She is a wonderful person, as you can tell. She sent out pens to whoever asked for one, and so that's what we're going to be opening now. Oh. So we got a little note from Pickwick Turtle. Thank you so much, Pickwick
And a
Turtle.
pen!
Oh, awesome! And your favorite color. You're actually wearing this color today. Eve loves red, so thank you very much. That's great. So this actually has, this is a Jinhao pen, and it's in the shape of a swan. And there's inks in there too. Oh my goodness. That was unexpected and so sweet. Thank you so much. So we got Monteverde brown sugar. Thank you. And Ackerman 27 Bezuiden. Great. We look forward to trying these out. Thank you so much. So
probably because all the inks we bought Pickwick Turtle, because like we almost spent a day on it.
Yes, we have something on its way to Pickwick Turtle also. So hopefully that will be a good surprise for her. So this is a Jinhao pen, and it has a Fude nib, and we've never tried a Fude nib before. Do you see the little face on the pen? That's a swan. Isn't that cool? So why don't you pick one of these inks, and we'll fill up the pen and try it out. Which one do you want to do?
I want to do this one first and then this one.
Well, we're only going to do one today. Okay, do you want to do this?
one.
Lamy Vibrant Pink. Alright, so we're going to
Is this how
switch
you
the
open
camera
the cap?
around. Yes, it's got a twist off cap. And you can take a look at the nib. The nib is turned upward, and that's called a Fude nib. So it gives you a variety of thick and thin lines depending on the angle that you hold it. And it comes with a converter also, so that we can fill it up with the ink that you chose. So we're going to do that now, and we'll give this pen a try and see how the Fude nib works. Alright, so thank you so much, God bless you. Thank you so much, Pickwick Turtle. You're the best. Thank you.
I want to open the card first. Can I open the card first?
You can open it now if you want to.
I'm going to read it also.
Okay.
It's hard to open. That's one thing I know. Oh, it's a tree. So pretty. It's like the prettiest thing ever. It's actually his hand. Her hand. That's one. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, the cap is so tinted.
Alright.
I actually think a little bit of the ink spilled on the cap.
So I'm going to put that down there, and you can twist the
Like that?
think the other direction now.
That way.
Okay.
Here we go.
Good job.
I feel the pen. I feel the pen. Mom, I'm making the video so interesting.
Great. Okay, here we are again with the fountain pen that Pickwick Turtle gave to us. It's a Jinhao pen with a Fude nib, and it's got a Swan clip. So Eve is going to do a little writing sample for us. Go ahead, you can take the cap off.
This would be a good time to show my nails right now. Now I'm going to get back to the fountain pen.
So this pen has a Fude nib, which means that it's bent, and it's something that we haven't tried before, so it might take a little getting used to. Alright, there it goes. So I would say it's putting down a fine line, and if you change the angle that you hold the pen, you can get a thicker line, I think. All right, well, thank you for joining us, and thank you so much to Pickwick Turtle.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye. This is Sarah again with a little update to my experiments with the Fude nib. So I've discovered that if you have the pen pointing upwards and you make vertical lines, no matter what angle, if you bring the angle of the pen down more, it doesn't really affect the width of the line. But in the horizontal direction when you're writing, if you have the nib, if you have the pen pointing upwards at a high angle, then the lines are fine. But if you bring the angle of the pen down more, you get a broader line, and if you bring it down as much as you can, you get a really broad line. So if I write with the pen at a high angle, I get a fine line, and if I write with the pen at a low angle, I get a broad line. Okay, so I hope this makes what the Fude nib does a little bit clearer.